G'day. One of the projects on the ever-growing list is to machine some things in plastic. Now, one of the problems I have with machining plastic is it doesn't leave a nice edge. The edge is either fluffy or is sharp, and so you need some way of deburring that, and for some time I've been meaning to make up a little device to do that. And I finally got round to it today, or yesterday, and it's this thing. This is a little plane. And the V-groove there is designed to go on the corner, and then in here I have a snap-off blade from a snap knife that goes in there, held down with a screw. While I think of it, I should point out, sometimes in this clip I refer to it as snap-on. That's someone else, not sponsored, nothing like that. And I also refer to some dividers as calipers too. Sorry, brain fade at the time. Anyway, so this is the story of doing that, and it's quite simple to make. I've actually made two because a friend of mine who does a lot of plastics work would probably appreciate it too. The only thing to watch out, of course, is when you've got a blade in there, it's mightily sharp, because those blades are mightily sharp, so you just have to watch out for that. But just a little project. I've also put some drawings at the end there, so that if anybody wants to make one, they can have a go too. I've made up my blanks. They're just a block of aluminium with a V-groove in there. You might be able to pick up, there's a little bit of chatter there, so I need to clean that up with a file. But I'm now going to be using this thing. These are fools of things because adjusting them it can get quite difficult. But every so often when you need some weird sort of angular combination, they do come in handy. In this particular case, the angles are dictated by the blade. I'm going to be using a snap knife blade, and that angle is dictated by the non-cutting edge of the blade, and I need to come into here, and that's dictated by the relief on the back of the blade there. I need to have that on an angle such that that's acting as positive relief rather than negative relief. This angle is 60 degrees, and it's got to go up like that. So that's 109, I think it is. I've got it on the drawing there, but anyway, that's what this is out for. So I'll set that up. Then it's just a matter of running a cutter through, and hopefully the cut on this side and the cut on this side will meet up and give me my little window for the blade to stick through. So this is the final work holding. That's at 30 degrees. This is tilted over at 19, 20, something like that. It's to give me that compound angle. Now I've run the cutter along there, along the line there as an indicator, and it seems to be all right. So I'll try cutting metal and see what happens. Oh well, it's raining again. Apologies to Supertramp. This is the part with the angle cut made on it, and as you can possibly see there, it's got a steel rule there. You can see how the corner of the plastic would stick through and then get shaved off by the blade sitting here. That'll give me a chamfer of probably about 2 millimeters by 2 millimeters, a little bit around there somewhere. I have to try it out, of course. But when trying to plane things like nylon and polyethylene, that sort of thing, not to mention others, you probably don't want to go much more than that anyway, because you start getting into having to put a lot of power into pushing this along. So this is really only to knock the edges off, and I think it'll do that quite nicely. The next thing to do is do a bridge piece across here, which will stiffen the whole thing up a little bit, but the main purpose is so that I can then have a screw that'll come down and clamp that blade on there. Part of this design is for a strap to go from here to here, which is going to have a screw in to clamp down the blade, and so therefore I need to put some tapped holes in here, and this is one of the last operations to do here. One of the tricks that I use for doing this sort of stuff is I use a straight edge. It could be just a bit of material, it could be a rule, but I'll put it on the side there like that, and then setting my calipers to the appropriate measurement, just very lightly put a scratch. Okay, and that's enough to give you a mark. I'm going to come along on the other side and put that same scratch there. Same difference. The reason being is that I'll then put a centre pop there, and then with my calipers, marking out calipers, I can then come along and get an intersection point. Now what that means is that these calipers are set for 50 millimetres. The straps I can make up, I can leave those like that and use that to mark those out, and then I should have two holes, two points that coincide. So I'll now drill and tap those and then get on to making the strap. These are my straps. I've made them in a strip like this just because that was the size material I've had. So I've machined that down to size, and then using my circle template, marked out some radii. I'm now kind of cut that, and then I'll probably just use the flap wheel on the angle grinder to go around and radius those corners. They need to have a radius on them, but they don't have to. It's not a critical radius. It's partly aesthetics and partly just sort of so you don't cut your hands up. So you know, nothing too special there. Then I'm going to machine down so that I've got a recess to put a button head cap screw in, and apart from one trick here, that'll almost be done. I've rounded up the ends. They need a little bit of clean up, but they'll do for the moment. However, what I have done before drilling these holes, I've put another centre pop there for another hole, and this one's a little bit tricky because it's got to be on a slight angle, and the reason for that is that the blade's on a slight angle and I want the screw coming down square to the blade. So not a big issue there. I've put a texture mark on there, and that's just to try and remind me which way around this thing has to go. So it's like that, so I should be in there. This hole is a bit tricky. If it was any greater angle, I'd probably be tempted to spot face that with a milling cutter, so I had a nice flat surface. I think I'll get away with it here, but we'll just have to be careful. But yes, I need a hole on an angle for that one. I've drilled my hole. Now I need to tap it on an angle, and the reason for tapping it is so that I can put a helicoil in there. Aluminium won't take continued in and out of the thread, and so, well, it might in some grades, but the stuff that I use doesn't. So rather than get a chewed up thread, what I've done is I've put a helicoil in there. They're made out of stainless steel usually, and that will be what my bolt runs in, and so I'll be able to screw that up and unscrew that as much as I like, and it shouldn't damage anything. The last thing to do after this, of course, is just to relieve this material here so that the screw is sitting a little bit flusher. I'm fast running out of daylight, but there's the almost finished part. So as you can see, I've got a couple of button heads there, and I've just relieved that so they sit nice and flush. I've put a bolt in here. I need to put a decent nil head on that, and I'll probably use one out of the my knobs collection methods. But there it is with a bit of snap-on knife blade on it, and I guess the question is, how does it work? Well, you can just see up there. There's a tiny bit of blade. And if I get a piece of plastic material like this, I get a nice even 45-degree chamfer along that edge, and that's what I'm after, so that I can do that. So there you go. Thanks for watching. I hope this is inspirational to someone, and not difficult to do. So yeah, see how you go.